So I was poor. I had 2 pounds to eat every day. I had no food. I slept in the park twice because I didn't have a house. I was on my way out. Let's put it this way. I was in a very bad situation financially, mentally. So probably I wouldn't be here. But so the dream and the book saved me, to tell the truth. But I don't know. I did so many jobs in my life. Obviously, I studied criminal psychology, worked with criminal psychology, and then I graduated very young. I went to university. I skipped 2 years in school, so I went to university. I was 15. I graduated. I was 19, going 20. And I was in America. So you cannot drink in America if you're 21. So my whole university, there's no drinking. Like, and university is where you drink the most. And it's like, oh, everybody couldn't drink at all. So I graduated very early. So I worked with criminal psychology to about 26, 27. But I always liked playing. I play music a lot. And then if you're gonna get music, you have to start early. You can't do it very late. So I was thinking already. I love criminal psychology, but it's a dark profession. It's a great profession, but like I said yesterday, every day is a bad day, right? Because every day you deal with evil and pain and hurt and death, and like it's never a good day. So even on the day that you help the police,
Αυτό το δικό σου, μην ξεχαστείς. Παίρνετε λίγο το κανάτα γιατί βγάζω βίντεο. Ευχαριστώ. Λίγο προς το έτσι. Ευχαριστώ.
Τώρα την κρατάει η κοπέλα. Και μπορούμε να πούμε και την παράδοση. Βαζό.
So even in the days that you help the police apprehend a suspect, it's still a bad day because you're already lost. Like by the time the police starts the investigation of crime, it's because the crime has already been committed. So no matter which way you look at this, somebody already died, somebody already lost. So it's a great profession, studying and everything, but when you work with it, every day is a tough day. So I was already thinking, how long can I carry on doing this before I become a serial killer? And then as well, because I always like music, and I realized that I could get more girls by being a guitarist in a rock band than I could by being a criminal psychologist. So I moved to California. And then when you're a musician, you work as everything, because you don't make a lot of money as being music. So I work in bars, I was a stripper, I did stripping.
Stripper, oh.
Μουσική δεν βάλαμε.
I don't have it, but I did. There was once that they always making fun of me. They send me to a job, you know. So there's the stripping that we do with a group on stage, like the Chippendales, and then there's the individual jobs that you go with a friend or you go. So they send me to this job and they wanted a cop. Obviously, they always wanted a cop. I don't know why. So you turn up with a little music, right? The Backstreet Boys. With a little music, right? And then the thing was that you knock on the door, they open the door, and then they go, like, did you call the police? And they go, no, I didn't. Say, yes, you did.
Και εμείς που ήμασταν, παιδιά.
So I knock on the door, right? They open the door, and I go through the routine. It's like, did you call the cops? No, I didn't. Yes, you did. And it was a funeral. It was a funeral.
Oh my God.
My friend sent me as a joke. It was a funeral, right? And the lady was like, the grandmother almost died in fucking water. like everybody like in the funeral, like I could see the coffin there, and me almost butt naked, standing there like, ugh. So that's part of my job.
Καλή ρε αυτή.
Do you remember the question?
Yeah, but
Εγώ θα τελειώσουμε, άλλο το ρώτησε. Ναι,
I have a question.
sure. Actually, did I answer the question? I told you I'll start the question and then just go all the way to the point. I have no idea what to say. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. At what point you felt fed up with your job with the police and the FBI?
At the point of what?
You felt fed up. With your job.
It's not that I didn't get fed up. It's not that I get fed up. It's just
Frustrated, maybe.
I really wanted to do music, and that if I was a guitarist, then probably I wouldn't have given up criminal psychology. It's because I really wanted to play, and there's a certain age, but I didn't.
Καμαγιάρης. Όχι, Legendre.
So then, I didn't get fed up with it, but like I said, it was getting to a point, because every day you see, and like I said in America, yesterday I explained this, America is in a different level when it comes to serious crimes, right? So, like I said, you have crime, you have serious crime, you have super violent crime, you have 10 feet of shit, then you have America right there. So America is bad when it comes to crime, right? They do things that no other country does. Like I said, in my second crime scene, I was 20 years old, and I went to a crime scene that they had put a baby in the microwave and turned it on. Right?
Yeah.
So this is things that happen in America. You see this every day, almost every day, because at the beginning of the profession, so I graduated very early. So the criminal psychology as a profiling for the FBI. I don't know if you guys, there's a series called Mindhunters. Okay, so that shows the beginning of the profiling for the FBI, the beginning of an agency called the NCABC, which is the National Center for Analysis of Violent Crimes, and the BAU, which is the Behavior Analysis Unit. So that series shows the two guys that started all that. There were two psychologists, and they started traveling America, asking, interviewing criminals, and trying to see, oh, things match from criminal to criminal. And that's when they started analyzing that certain criminals did things that were similar, so they could profile stuff. That was stipulated in '84 and created in 1985 by Ronald Reagan, the president. I graduated in 1985, so right at the beginning, like, criminal psychology was just being a baby. And then they didn't know what a criminal psychologist would do. It wasn't really a profession, nobody knew. So we were treated like detectives. We were taken to the crime scenes in situ, where the victim is still there. Nowadays, criminal psychology, or the name changed. So it was criminal behavior psychology that became criminal psychology. It's now called forensic psychology. But it's the same thing. Forensic psychologists nowadays, they don't go to the crime scene. They read the files, right? They don't have to go and see it. But back then, they didn't know what the profession would be like, so we were taken to every crime scene. So I've seen everything.
Yeah.
Like from dismemberment, decapitations, cut in half, burned alive, smashed the pole, whatever you imagine I've seen. Because in America, there's,
we know you've seen it.
yeah. And it was getting to on certain crime scenes are worse, and despite how much I try to describe the crime scenes in the books, there are certain things that it can't be described. Like there's a smell in the crime scene that I can never explain, what it is like. The way you feel when you walk into a certain crime scenes, I don't believe in evil, I don't believe in horror, but there are certain crime scenes that you walk through the door, and even if the crime scene is upstairs, you already feel that there's something wrong here. Right? You walk through the door and everything goes especially crime scenes where there are kids. Those are by far the worst. And I'm not a father, I don't have a kid, but if you walk into a crime scene where kids have been mutilated or killed, it messes with your head.
Is it
So-
possible for anyone, even if he is qualified like you are, to overcome or to recover for such dreadful experiences, such those?
Everyone's a different person. Everybody has a breaking point, right? And that breaking point depends from person to person, right? And it depends how far you can get pushed on that breaking point.
I see.
So some people can take more than others. Like it's a known thing that women can take more pain than guys, right? You prefer hot water more than guys as well. Yeah. But it depends on how you deal with it. You know, there's some people don't have an escape, right? So some people just think about work all the time, and that gets complicated. So it depends. I was getting to that point. I was getting to a point that I loved the job, but I was like, I can't do this every day. It's like every single day. It's like you feel so bad. You feel so sad every day. You already wake up feeling bad. So you go, and you go, and you're gonna. So I was getting to that point that I was like, I'm gonna need a break. If I don't change professions, I need at least a year to travel or do something. So I didn't get fed up with it, but I was getting close to getting fed up with it, and then I decided to go do music. So yeah, I was 27 when that happened.
Very young.
Many years ago.
How many years?
7. I worked with 7 years, 20. Like I said, when we were talking about being old, I always end the discussion of how old I am. It's like I actually saw the Jackson 5 playing with Michael Jackson singing. This
Me
is how
too.
old I am. I said this once, and I swear to God, this girl goes, "Who the hell is Michael Jackson?"
Oh my God.
Wow, you're either too young or you live in a cave. Jesus Christ. But yeah. Next question. I told you to talk too much. Yes.
So, in continuance to this question of Jota, I'd like to ask this. Being in contact with criminals, serial killers, or lifetime prisoners, interviewing them, spending time with them, how much this affected your writing and your personality?
Well, the writing, it obviously affects it now, but the thing is that when I was doing that job, I never even thought of writing. It was like, so it happened many years after, which is good because I remember thinking, like I said before I got the deal, that I was sleeping in the park, and I was thinking, Jesus Christ, what a life. I was like, I went to university, I had an amazing job and everything, and here I am sleeping in a park, and I was like, where did I go wrong? So it was many years later, right? And I thought, I did all that to study, and I don't work with it. And now it went full circle, and I do something that I use it. So the writing affects a lot because, like I said, because I've seen so many crime scenes. It doesn't matter what I create in the book. I cannot come up with any scene that I'm not gonna get a memory coming back into my mind, reminding me of what I saw. So that works. It happens a lot. Now the personality, I don't know. I try to not be very depressed. But yeah, it affects. You know, when you talk to people like that, or like again, there's some people that, as you talk to them, they have total disregard for life. It's like they can kill anybody and go have a coffee. Seriously, it's like there are some people out there in the world. But I don't know how Greece is, but you guys are still in Europe, which is a very different situation than being like, I was born in Brazil, which is a third world country, and the violence in Brazil is astounding. South Africa, terrible. It's like kids have guns. There are a few Brazilian films that you can watch on Netflix. There's one called City of God, which has a little kid and they are getting guns. But there's one called Elite Squad, or Tropa de Elite 2, Tropa de Elite 1 and 2, which it's about the police. The favelas in Rio, they are so dangerous that the normal police doesn't go up. There's a special police called the BOP that goes up to deal with crimes in the favela and they are trained in guerrilla warfare. So they are trained as and the violence is untrue. right? People do have no regard for life. I talked to this guy once in prison as well, and he was considered like one of the worst. And then he said to me, he said, "You know why people don't get in a fight with me?" I was like, "No," and he said, "Because when I fight, I only stop when he dies." He said, "I don't fight to just punch. It's like,
Yes.
I will fight until the guy is dead." And that's what he does. And he says, "And I fight dirty." And I was like, you punch somebody, somebody falls on the ground, he grabs him and wraps him on the asphalt. Like the guy was mental. And he was talking like if he was giving me the recipe for a cake. You know, like absolutely no problem. Kill, I don't care. So you see the difference, and obviously something happened in their life for them, because nobody's born like this. You're not born hating everyone. So obviously his life was so bad, you know, and you can understand like people that have no love ever in their lives. You know, they're born, their parents hate them, right? Because they don't want the kid. So the kid's always on the street. Everybody, so he's always in fights. He never experienced love. Nobody ever gave him a hug or something like that. If you grow up like this, it's complicated. So yeah, he affected me on the books, but I think hopefully not on the personality.
Thank you, thank you. May I continue?
Oh, there's more.
Okay, okay. So, you are a writer of crime books, of course, or psychological thrillers, whatever we call it. You were a psychologist specialized on crime behaviors. You were a guitarist in a rock group. As I look at you, you seem very expressive and with moving your arms and the face.
Italia.
Exactly. So, you are also a great and dark mind, as you said in another interview of yours. What are you really? A combination, something from it.
What am I?
Yes.
Is another question. I have no idea. Honestly, to me, I am a simple guy who got lucky writing stories, and people like the crazy stuff that comes out of my head. That's it. I think I'm the most normal person I know. You know, I'm just me. I wake up, I write my books, I go running, and that's it. I go to bed.
So a simple person.
So
You call yourself a simple person.
I am, yeah. I'm not different than any. I'm not more intelligent than anyone. I'm not better than anyone. I'm older than most. but I'm just a guy who got lucky writing stories. You know, like I said, I was on my way out. I was on the verge of terminating everything, and I got lucky because somebody liked a story that I wrote years ago, and here I am 15 years later. Like, so I consider myself a very simple guy. It's like, you know, I like things that most people like. You know, I watch series on Netflix. You know, I drink a lot. I drink coffee. Yeah, I'm just me.
Thank you. I have many more. Let's. Can I ask?
Okay. Hi.
Λίγο δυνατά.
Λίγο δυνατά.
Τι λέει, δεν είναι τις φαβέλες και τροτές.
Yeah, of course.
Ωραία ερώτηση.
Well, I could
τις
have
φαβέλες.
come from my
Δηλαδή,
I was
τις
asked
φαβέλες στην
yesterday,
Βραζιλία για την
that old question, if you
εγκληματικότητα.
think a person can be born evil or you know, even
Μπαχ, το ρίξω το κινητό σου, δεν υπάρχει περίπτωση.
nurse. And I say both because I've seen both, right? Because things can change, but they're physical things that can affect how a person is good or bad, right? Like, it's not a common thing, but it can happen. Like the example I gave yesterday is like, can a person be born with 4 fingers instead of 5? Yes. Is it normal? No. Can a person be born blind? Yes. Is it normal? No. Can a person be born with an unbalanced chemical on the brain that makes you more prone to violence? Yes. Is it normal? No. But it can happen, right? And it happens in a few times. I gave an example today, I should have read now, but I forgot the name of the guy, but this is in the 1960s, and he got up on the clock tower of the University of Houston in Texas and shot a whole bunch of people. He just shot people from the bell tower. And I think he killed 12 and maimed 22 or something like that. It was a big thing back then. And he was a student in the university, he was studying architecture, and the police shot him dead, right? But not before he actually killed a whole bunch of people. But he left a letter, right? And before he did this, he started his spree. He killed his wife and his mother. And
Και
then he
χθες αυτή
got
την
a
ιστορία.
gun and he brought up the bell tower with plenty of ammunition and shot his students for like 2 or 3 hours before the police actually shoot him dead. So when they found the letter, on the letter he said, I don't know what's happening. I love my mother, I love my wife, but recently I've been getting these emotions and these headaches and make me this desires to hurt people. And he said, I don't know where this is coming from. So he said, I think there's something wrong with my brain. And he says, please, when I die, because he knew he would be killed, he said, please study my brain. And the police did. They found the letter, and then they autopsied him, and they found that he had a tumor on his hypothalamus that was pressing into his amygdala. They found a tumor. And so this is a disease that caused this guy to become violent all of a sudden. He was a normal person all of a sudden, and then he started having all these urges to kill people. So it can happen in both ways. But the environment, of course, like I said, if you grow up without love, you never experience love. Your parents hate you. Like, I got asked about the kid in Serbia who machine gun and he went into a school and he shot a whole bunch of people. Like a couple of weeks ago or something like that. You guys know for that. I don't know the story of the kid, but I know that he's a only child, right? And that's another thing that a lot of people, you know, when you don't eat food and people, oh, you should eat food because there are people dying in Africa, but Africa is not our world. We all have our own little world, right? And a kid who is like 12 years old, his whole world is his family and his school. That's it. He doesn't know anything else, right? He doesn't have any problems in Africa. He's not married. He doesn't have a problem with kids. His whole world is that. Now imagine if your whole world, like the parents hate you and is always making fun of you, and then you go to school and your friends are making fun of you, right, all the time. Now, have you ever been in a job that have one person that you don't like in that job and he makes your fucking job horrible? Okay? Now imagine if it's the whole office after you. Right? So for this kid, right, having a life that he hates being at home because his parents are bad to him. He hates going to school because his friends are bad to him, right? His entire life, every single day, is hell, right? So some people decided to go, I don't want to do this anymore, and they just commit suicide. Some people go, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to kill myself, but I'm going to take that asshole that's been calling me names forever with me. So gets a gun. In America, it happens a lot. So that's the environment that changed the kid. It's like, I guarantee that kid, no one at the age of 12 wants to go get a machine gun and go kill everybody. No one does that. It's like, so it was the environment that he was in, the pressure every day, again, breaking points. Everybody's got breaking points, right? Some people get pressure, and then they either, like I said, commit suicide, they can go with a machine gun, or they just become very depressed and very internalized, you know, and then they'll have their lives, but they might become serial killers later, or it depends, right? But that is the breaking point of being pressurized. The kid's breaking point hit maximum. You know, his father was bad to him, his mother was bad to him, the friends were bad to him. He had nobody, right? And at that age, if you can't talk to anyone, I remember this was the best interview I've ever saw from Marilyn Manson. when they did the Columbine school, was one of the first school killings in America. And the kids used to listen to Marilyn Manson, right? Music. So obviously America, being America, decided to blame on Marilyn Manson the thing because it's because of your music that he wants to kill everybody. So they interviewed Marilyn Manson. And they asked him, said, what would you say to the kids if you could talk to them? And Manson said, I wouldn't say anything, I would listen to them because that's what nobody did. And that's it. It's like these people need to talk, and the kid doesn't have it. So yes, the environment can 100% change you. I think we all have been changed by the environment we live in. Next question.
How about Robin Hunter going to Norway to meet Harry Hole? They could be friends or something.
From your lesbian, yeah. They actually wanted to put, you see that they wanted to put a band together. because Leonardo plays bass, right?
Yes.
Sebastian Fitzek plays drums and I play guitar. So they wanted to put me, Sebastian Fitzek, and Leonardo in a band. Can you imagine? That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Obviously, you'd be called like the serial killers. That would be the name. It had to be the name.
Say one way.
No, I've been asked a lot about Hunter traveling and going somewhere else. It's like, but because I like to keep the stories truthful, right? He works for the LAPD, and the LAPD only has jurisdiction and that's why when in Hunting Evil and An Evil Mind, the FBI has to come in. Because America's divided into states, and each state's got its law. So if you're a cop, not only a cop, if you're a lawyer in California, you cannot be a lawyer in Nevada. You have to pass the test again, right? Seriously. So if you study law, it's psychology. If you study law or psychology in one state, you can't move to another state because the law is different. So if you're a lawyer in California and you want to move to Washington, you have to pass the exam again, right? It's just the way you work. And the police is the same. The laws are different. So the police can only work. The LAPD can only work in LA. If you go outside LA, even the city of LA, right? If you go just a little bit outside LA, then the sheriff's department kicks in, right? And if you cross the state lines, then the federal bureau kicks in because that's federal. So then the FBI kicks in, or the marshals, right? But the marshals only work, they only chase fugitives, pretty much. So the marshals go after people who escape from prison. So if I bring Hunter to Europe, he doesn't have the jurisdiction. He can't carry a gun, So it gets complicated to try to manipulate, to make it sound real, So yeah, probably won't happen. Yes?
I wanted to ask, what is the get from life? You get from yourself, you get from somebody else? What's the difference?
Τι ερώτηση? Τι κερδίζει το γράψιμο?
What I get from it, well, I love doing it, and the funny thing is that I started writing very late. So I always say this: it's never late for you to discover something that you really like, right? Because I never knew I liked writing. When I was a kid, I didn't write short stories. I didn't even read very much, right? Seriously not. So I didn't know I liked writing. The only papers I wrote were for university. Right? I never wrote anything else. And I started writing, I was over 40, right? Another example, Van Gogh, right? Van Gogh only picked up a brush for the first time. He was 28 years old. He never painted anything before, ever, right? And he picked up a brush at 28, right? So, and then he loved doing it. So it's never late for you to discover what you like doing. So to me, one, obviously, it saved my life from where I was, but I really enjoy doing it. I love, like I was doing an interview this morning, the guy asked me something similar. And I said, when I finish the book, I feel a little bit sad. It's the same thing, imagine you work in an office for a year, and you meet all these people in the office, and you talk, so every day you see them, and you say hello and everything, and then after a year, you change your job, you go somewhere else, you're never gonna see these people again. I feel like that with the books. When I finish a book, some of the characters, of course, Hunter Garcia, they're gonna come back, but some of the characters in the book I'm never gonna see again, right? And I spend a year every day waking up and going, being in their world, you know, like I walk into their world. So when I finish the book, sometimes I feel sad. It's like, I'm never gonna see Lucy again. Like, you know what I mean? So I love doing it. To me, it gets me pleasure and sanity. Seriously, it keeps me from going. It keeps me from drinking ouzo every day. Oh, I drink everything. You have to see right here.
He's got a bottle of cheap
My God.
Okay.
And I even introduce people to drink. I show them this thing called oil. Another thing I started doing very late in my life. I started drinking very late. I didn't drink. I was a complete teetotal. I did not touch alcohol until 42 years old. Yeah, didn't drink any alcohol. None. Look at me now. So yeah, it keeps me from doing bad things. Yes.
Are you an architect? Do you know the ending of the book before you start writing?
I know nothing of it. Seriously, my way of writing is just disastrous. Okay, so the story of the first book, you guys probably heard. I just decided to write a chapter that I thought, what would be a good opening for a crime book? No story, just what would be a chapter that if I read it, go, oh, okay, I want to read more. So I created the first chapter of Swiss Killer. Then people say, oh, this is good, you should carry on. I create chapter 2 and chapter 3. It's still no story. And then they say, oh, this is good, you should carry on. And I was like, wait, now I gotta get a story. Right? And so I started patching this thing up, right? Put the chapter here. 8 months later, I finished the book. So I said this, you probably heard now, that on the first book, the initial book, Hunter dies in the end. So the original manuscript, Hunter dies, right? And then it was my agent who said, I love your story, but you're any shit. And he goes, your detective dies. So he said, did you ever think about making a series? I was like, no. I said, can I suggest you do? Why? And there was like 2 reasons. One, it's easier to sell to a publishing house, a series. So it's 2, he said, I really like your detective, and I think your detective could easily be a serious detective, right? And he said, I'm an agent, and I read a lot of manuscripts every day. So he said, if I like your detective, it means that a lot of people like it. So I had to go home and change the last 20 chapters in the Crucifix Killer, right? So, to me, the Crucifix Killer is a mess. It's just chapters like, I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was fixing it. It's like a ripped jeans and you put a patch here, a patch there. You're just trying to fix the story, right? And then I get comments like I did 2 weeks ago on Instagram saying, the book is so well plotted. It's so well it isn't at all. It's like, it's a mess. The book is a fruit salad. It's like, I don't know what I was doing. But it worked, right? And in Brazil we have a saying, if it's not broken, why fix it, right? So, because you work on the first book, second book, I did the same thing. It was like, I don't know. And I do this up to date. So all I need to start is also, again, every author has his own method of writing, right? Some people have notes after notes after notes. They have to think of the whole story ahead, right? They plan everything. They know how the book's going to start. They know how it's going to end, they know who the killer's going to be, they know all the... I know, like, I have 0 notes, I don't have a board, I keep everything in my head. Because I only need 1 line, maybe, to give me an idea. So it could be a murder type, it could be the motive behind the murder, it could be who the killer is going to be. So, I'll give you 2 examples. The Execution was book 2. All I had, the idea I had was a killer who kills his victims using fear. So he discovers what you're scared of, and he kills you that way. So if you're scared of spiders, he kills you with spiders. If you're scared of that's it. That's all I had. I sat down and started writing. I was like, that's a good trick. So I did that. Book 3, all I had was the murder. I was, if I told you the story, I was at the beach with my girlfriend. Here in Zakynthos, actually, in Greece. at the beach, and I had an idea for a kill, a very horrible kill, which is the killer inserts something to the woman and sews it shut. That's it. I didn't have the reason why he does that. I just thought that's going to be an odd way of killing somebody, and that's it. I wrote a whole book based on one type of murder. That's it. I was like, that's going to be interesting. That's what I'm going to do. And that's every single book is the same. An Evil Mind. Everybody had an Evil Mind. The book 5 before.
Yeah, what it goes.
Yeah, okay. So the idea was, I said, what if a serial killer is Hunter's friend? That was it. That was the whole idea of the book. And then I sit down and start writing. So I don't know what I'm doing until I get there. Another example of how twisted things go. The guys read book 6, The Caller. What's it called, The Caller here?
Anasimitis.
Have you read that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I have read all of them.
there's one character in the book. There's one character in the book. He's a secondary character. That he was just supposed to be nobody. He's just supposed to be the husband of a victim, right? But as I was writing the chapter, right, I was like, okay, I just want to introduce the victim to the reader. So as I was writing, the scene was just they waking up in bed before going to work, right? So as I was writing, I was like, what if I make this character this? And I completely change it right there and then. So that's how all my books are written, just extremely organic. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know the ending. I don't know, like in the big one as well, I came up with the ending a month before I had to finish the book. I have I'm writing a new book now, which I'm going to finish in August, right? I thought of the ending on the airplane coming there. That's what I
It's a
said.
great ending.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, he dies on the plane. But yeah, no, I don't know anything. I just sit and let it go. So it's like a snowball. I start a little bit and then it gets bigger, 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 and all of a sudden I have a story.
The characters rebel, they do what they like. After they rebel characters, and after some point they do what they like in the story, and you just follow.
This
Characters, the characters, they do what they want in your
Pretty much.
story.
Pretty much.
Follow them.
Frasítati.
Yeah, I just, but it's good because it means that then the readers get it like that as well. So it's more, you can imagine more. Like, because you're not watching a film, you're reading. So, and that's the main reason why I never describe Hunter. Right? I said that before. I don't describe Hunter because everybody has their own image of a hero in your head. Right?
Yeah.
So
He's adorable.
Like, and I met people like, especially girls do that. Like guys, it was like, I don't like guys with blonde hair, or I don't like guys with long hair, or I don't like guys with beards, or I don't like it. So if you're reading a character and you're a person who doesn't like guys with beards, right? And the character has a beard, straight away your subconscious is gonna go, okay, maybe I'm not gonna like it. So
Αυτό
you
είναι.
let that
Όταν
yourself up.
είσαι ψυχολόγος,
Right?
ξέρεις τα ψυχολογία
I
του
don't do
γνώση.
that. I only say Hunter
Μας
stalks his
μανιπιουλάρει,
first, and that's
μοιρά.
pretty much it. His well built. The rest, I allow the reader to imagine Hunter the way you want to imagine him, right? I only made them say, like, for example, do you think Hunter is blonde or dark hair? What do you think?
Dark hair.
The only description I ever done of Hunter is on book 1, it's book 6, right? Because it was my first book, I didn't know what I was doing, and he's blonde with blue eyes.
No. Bah.
You know,
Εμένα
so-
μ' άρεσε, μ' αρέσει, μ' αρέσει πάρα πολύ.
I didn't know what I was doing. So again, I allowed after that because again he wasn't supposed to be a series. Remember, as I was. So when I went back to change, I forgot to change that I had done a description of Hunter. But from then on, I never describe him anymore. I like imagine him the way you want to imagine him, right? And it works because I got so many people. I think I'm in love with Hunter. He's fictional. He doesn't exist. But
That doesn't sound
I know. Yeah.
Is there one last question maybe, and then we can, Chris is gonna sign your books and take pictures?
Yes, of course.
I'll do my dance routine.
Yeah.
Do you describe it to the family and what is the reaction like?
I don't describe it to anybody. I don't. Nobody reads anything that I write until it's done. and the first person is my editor. I mean, when my partner was alive, I
Τον
used
δίνει
to-
τα γραπτά του για να τον
she
διαβάσουμε.
didn't even write my book. But sometimes I would read something to her just to get her opinion. Like if I was doing a scene that I was explaining something like a psychological thing, so she did it. I would just read the scene and say, did you understand what I was trying? Because if she did, it's like, okay, so everybody understands. So every once in a while I would read, or sometimes I did, saying, is this too violent? And then I would read the series, the scene to say, is it too bloody? But nobody reads anything until it's all finished.
Ορίστε, μπήκαν να το βάλουν το screen.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, can I? May I? Okay. Earlier today, you told me that 2 books are on their way to us. However, will Robert Hunter ever get to Greece for solving a case?
In Greece?
Yeah.
That's what I said before.
I couldn't hear, I couldn't listen. I'm sorry, I couldn't listen.
He doesn't have jurisdiction. He can't work in Greece because he's an American police officer.
Yes,
So,
but just in case.
If he loses his job.
Είναι δύσκολο να αλλάξει τμήμα, αυτό που μου είπε εμένα.
Yes, he can come and help you.
Του πω εγώ για την ώρα, για το
Ναι.
obviously, his dad would have to be. He'd have to be on vacation, and then something happens, but he still can't work. He can help, but he has to help unofficially, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, maybe no.
Why not? Why not?
It's not gonna happen. But because he's gonna die soon.
No.
Όχι, μωρέ.
It's old.
No, he's not. He's fictional. He never gets old. Just one question.
Okay.
Last one.
Okay, yes. Someone told me that in the US your books were forbidden at the beginning.
They sue for business.
Still, due to excessive violence. It is true.
My books are not published in the States. They only publish 2 books, which is book 6 and 7. So, An Evil Mind and I Am Death. That's the only 2 books. And then they took it out because they said it's too violent for the American market.
My goodness. Γαμώ το δεν το τράβηξα.
They said it's too violent for the American market. They really did. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. So I'm not published in America, and that's why when people ask me about films, it's going to be difficult to get a film if you don't have your books in America. So my agent is trying again, but I don't know. Hopefully, I live in hope.
I see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
One more question. One more
The
question.
limit is 10 books per person.
Τώρα το έχουμε στο ξανάδοση.
Ναι.
Από 2.
Ποια βιβλία είπε ότι έχουν εκδοθεί?
Το 6 και το 7.
Ή το 5 και το